Hi, I'm Riley Chow. I'm here with Amanda Spears, Luca Gilberti, Rob Licuria, and Zach Laws, and we are here to talk about the SAG Awards right before they happen. So first off, I want to talk about what kind of year this is because it's one that we've never really had before. We have four nominees in the top SAG category, which is Best Cast for a Motion Picture, that in any other year would be the highest grossing nominee. Normally in the top race, we've got one nominee that's grossed about 200 million domestic. This year we have three of them. We've got Bohemian Rhapsody, Crazy Rich Asians, and A Star is Born. At the other end, there's usually one film that grosses about 5 million, but we don't have any of those this year. Instead, we've got Black Panther, which grossed 700 million domestic. And then our last nominee is Black Klansman, which is your typical mid-range nominee that has about 50 million domestic. So, Zach, you're predicting Black Klansman. Is it not a disadvantage this year that it's your typical SAG ensemble nominee?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I took a long time trying to figure this one out, and I was using that logic of, all right, they've merged with AFTRA, box office matters, so they're going to go with a movie that's been widely seen. The problem is, as you were just saying, like 4 of the 5 nominees are these huge moneymakers that we can assume that every local weatherman in the country has already seen. So and they each have their own pros and cons. I mean, do you go with Black Panther? Do you go with Crazy Rich Asians? Do you go with Bohemian Rhapsody or A Star is Born? And I just took a long look at that list and thought, there's a scenario in which they all 4 split that kind of mass appeal vote, and that could allow something like Black Klansman to win with just 22% of the vote. I think I also, am predicting this because I suspect that there's a chance that Black Klansman could be our Best Picture winner at the Oscars, and this would be an opportunity for the tide to really turn for that film. Now, it might not necessarily happen. I mean, let's remember that Moonlight lost SAG Ensemble to Hidden Figures, and so that we thought maybe that was a sign of weakness on that film's part. It ended up winning. But I think that there's just a lot of. It wouldn't surprise me whatever's going to be named out of these 5, and so I might as well just go with the one that I think has the most pros next to it.
Yeah, Amanda, we've spent a lot of these past few years kind of joking about how DJs, weathermen, and literal clowns are voting on these boards now in light of SAG's merger with AFTRA, in which a quarter of the membership now wasn't voting 6 years ago. But at this point, we've seen the past 5 ceremonies, and they've still continued to line up with the Oscars about as much as they did before. So how much is that a factor for you? Or is it time to just put that to rest and just assume that they'll line up with the Oscars as they always have?
I think they still line up with the Oscars. I mean, Revenant fell to the SAG Ensemble curse. La La Land didn't get a SAG Ensemble nomination and lost to a film that did make the 5. So it is still a relevant fact. I think just because in 2 out of 24 years apart, we should mention that they went without actually 23 because they didn't give it out the first.
Oh.
She was speaking too much truth.
You just decided to, and yeah, the truth gods just went zap.
Yeah, that was not me. Okay, let's go to you, Rob, because
Okay.
yeah, I'll just say this race is all over the place. Other than the consensus that I think we all generally are not predicting Crazy Rich Asians, it seems like we've got every possible configuration of these, where Zach and Amanda have Black Klansman first. You and I have it last. Amanda has Bohemian Rhapsody last. You have it first. So walk us through your Bohemian Rhapsody prediction.
Who's predicting Bohemian Rhapsody?
Rob, and you have it last.
Yeah. Amanda, I'll just go and then we'll see if Amanda's back online properly because we can't see her at the moment.
Okay, I'll sign out.
Okay. So, first of all, I think this is a very exciting race because you could really make an argument for all 5. And after the show, I'm already picturing and listening and imagining what people are going to say when one of these wins, and we just be like, of course, that one because of this. Because even Crazy Rich Asians has a very strong ensemble and was very popular. I'm going with the populist film here. Bohemian Rhapsody is very popular. A lot of people love it. A lot of people don't like it. It's very divisive. But I think the people who don't like it are in the bubble they're in the film Twitter, blogosphere, film snob bubble, and I'm slightly part of that group because I didn't like it. And that's my opinion. Everyone's entitled to that. It's opinion like assholes. Everyone's got one. And basically, I think, though, the SAG voters are very populist. They tend to go that way. And that's why I think it's going to win 2 tonight. And then you'll start hearing all the screams and the howls from film snobbery. Yeah.
All right, Amanda, do you want to continue what you were saying? Oh, all right. Well,
she's just so upset with what I've said.
Oh,
She just
wow.
can't even speak. Poor thing.
yeah. So Rob, you say that it's a popular film, but what about Black Panther? That's what
Yeah.
Luca's going
Yeah,
with. What I'm going
of
with,
course.
and that's the
Yeah.
front runner. So Luca,
Yeah.
why are you sticking with Black Panther?
Well, actually, I think that any one of these 5 ensembles could win. So I had a very difficult time choosing. I think I had Bohemian Rhapsody at number 1 at one point, and I think at one point at the beginning I had A Star Is Born. I could also see Crazy Rich Asians winning, but in the end I chose Black Panther because, you know, it's one of the most celebrated movies of the year. It has a huge ensemble. It's a very diverse cast. It has a lot of TV actors, which is important with SAG. And I just think it reminds me of Hidden Figures, one of the celebrated movies of the year that wins Best Ensemble, but it could go to anyone.
What's crazy is that, like, you know, the diverse cast argument, which I think is something that did help Hidden Figures win. You can apply that to, you know,
everyone.
3 out of the I
Yeah.
mean, Crazy Rich Asians, you know, has got a huge cast of, you know, exclusively Asian performers, which I mean we've never seen before, and so that would be a huge thing for that movie to win. Black Klansman and Black Panther are both, you know, dominated by African American performers, and so I mean, like you know, you could really make that case for any of those 3 films, you know, so it makes it much harder to you know, to pin down a winner here.
Yeah. And also TV actors. There's so many TV actors in many of these casts.
Yeah.
And, you know, in past years, I think that helped 3 Billboards last year. I mean, Peter Dinklage, for example, and there were many TV actors there. But this year, it's just so difficult to predict. I think it's the most difficult category of all to predict, at least for me.
Can I also add that, you know, Downton Abbey has won a few times with a lot of, relatively speaking, unknown actors, given that this is an American union. This Bohemian Rhapsody, this is the stuff that I've been thinking about. Bohemian Rhapsody has, it has the same aesthetic. It's a bunch of British actors a lot of people have never really heard of or have only seen in a few other projects. And so it has that going for it as well. But I just want to add to what Luca was saying, like having Black Panther in number 1 is the smart choice because it is the big film. It is the one that I think if you're going to go populist, why not go Black Panther? So that's why this category is so interesting. Any of these could win. Crazy Rich Asians has the diverse argument as well, was a huge hit and is beloved by a lot of people as well. So this one's really a head scratcher.
There is one thing that
Oh, sorry. I feel like
go ahead.
Asians has actually won the most ensemble awards from other groups. And then we've got A Star Is Born, which we haven't really talked about, but it does have 3 individual acting nominations.
And at least, like, I mean, all 3 of those acting nominations have at least some shot of winning. You know, I mean, Glenn Close is a good, Glenn Close. Lady Gaga is a good number 2 behind Glenn Close and could very easily win this. Bradley Cooper, I think, could have engendered enough sympathy from his Best Director snub to now shift the focus over to his Best Actor campaign. I mean, there's a scenario where maybe Christian Bale and Rami Malek split and Cooper wins. And actually, I mean, you know, the long shot that I'm going out on this time is predicting Sam Elliott to win supporting actor, just because, I mean, talk about like a veteran actor's actor. You know, I could see a lot of these guys who've worked with him over the past 40, 50 years saying, oh, man, I finally get a chance to vote for Sam Elliott. I'm going to mark him down instead of, you know, the guy who just won 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think about Sam Elliott is that it reminds me a lot of what happened 6 years ago when Bradley Cooper got his first nomination for Silver Linings Playbook. And toward the end of that season, it became really trendy to predict Robert De Niro, his supporting actor, in Best Supporting Actor, even though he hadn't really won any precursors and he'd been snubbed by a number of them. But people thought that it could be kind of like a career achievement, even though he already had a couple Oscars. Like it had been a while since he had been nominated, that kind of thing. And one of the people who fell for that narrative, Zach, was you. So I'm wondering, why have you learned nothing? And I'm seeing this play out again,
Well,
but now with Sam Elliott.
let me say, I think Robert De Niro is the wrong person to compare Sam Elliott to. I think the better comparison is James Coburn in Affliction.
Yeah.
Since James Coburn only got nominated at SAG, and in fact didn't win SAG. He lost it to Robert Duvall for a civil action. So I mean, there is precedent for it. I'm not saying that it's by any means a sure thing, but I think if there's one limb to go out on, it's maybe betting on the likable veteran actor who a lot of people have. De Niro has had opportunity after opportunity after opportunity to win and already had 2 Oscars, whereas Sam Elliott has never had that opportunity. And so I think that's the difference. It's the same thing with James Coburn.
Yeah, so Mahershala Ali, he's obviously the front runner because he just won the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globe Award. He's in Green Book, which is kind of the one movie that we know that the industry loves because it just upset at the Producers Guild. Rob, you actually have Mahershala Ali in 3rd. So why are you so dismissive of him as the front runner?
Well, like if I don't mix it up in this award show, I will probably fall asleep. I just find the SAG Awards, no offense, but slightly boring, and because they do tend to be more predictable sometimes than some of the other awards nights. And I think Green Book, it could have received that ensemble nomination and didn't. And for me, that is a red flag. And I just can't see Mahershala Ali necessarily having this groundswell of support, especially when you have Sam Elliott, who is, a very respected veteran actor who has not really ever won much at all, plus Richard E. Grant, who is in the same boat, beloved journeyman actor who is finally receiving his due. I think it's really between those 3, to be honest. And but even Adam Driver is in a Best Ensemble nominated film, so the category to me is not sewn up for Mahershala Ali, and I therefore thought, well, I'm going to take some chances, and in this category, I just think that it is a little bit more wide open than a lot of people assume.
I would love to see Richard E. Grant win, honestly. I mean, either him or Sam Elliott. I mean, I love the sort of career rejuvenation that Richard E. Grant has been experiencing ever since this movie came out and he's gotten all these nominations. I mean, he's got this wonderful enthusiasm about him and humility, and you can tell that he never really expected this to happen to him. So, I'd love to see either of those guys win this.
Yeah, he's gotten the most awards too. Like maybe not the highest profile, but he's won the most critics groups, which I guess is probably what Amanda was supposed to say or something similar.
Yeah, I'm picking Richard E. Grant, kind of the journeyman actor that everyone kind of wants to vote for. And I mean, he was in one of my favorite movies, Gosford Park, so I would be happy to see him win. That's my big, bold prediction.
Yeah, he was not.
But I think there's a chance Adam Driver could sneak off with this. I really do think, like, if he wins, that's a really good sign. It's probably going to win ensemble.
I mean, he was great in Girls.
And lots of other movies, Riley. He's worked with like Martin Scorsese and Terry Gilliam and Jim Jarmusch and all these
and
guys.
He's Kylo Ren for me. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Silence in Patterson. I'll say that. Luca, you're sticking with the front runner again because I guess you're sensible or something. Are you concerned that drunk?
He's being boring.
Exactly, being boring. No, I don't know.
I'll just ask, are you concerned that Green Book did not send any physical screeners? They did not send DVDs to the SAG members. They only sent digital screeners, which is different than Can You Ever Forgive Me?
Yeah.
And, I guess Can You Ever Forgive Me because they sent DVDs and screeners. A Star is Born only sent the digital screeners, but I suppose they figured that everybody's already seen it in theaters.
Well, Ali might be the boring choice, but I don't know. I'm just going to be safe. I mean, I'd be happy for anyone else to win. I don't think he needs to win 2 SAG Awards and then 2 Oscars within 2 years.
That's a good point.
And I don't know. I'd be happy for Richard E. Grant, for Sam Elliott. I'd be happy for Timothée Chalamet, who gave my favorite.
That's not going to happen.
I know it's not going to happen, but that would be my pick. But I know there's no way that's happening. But I think it'll be Ali, and I think 2 years ago his SAG speech Not that anyone's going to remember, but it was lovely. And I'm sure he'll give another lovely speech.
All right, Rob, I'll ask you, what's your general strategy for predicting the SAG Awards? Because I feel like you swing for the fences with SAG, perhaps more than anyone on Gold Derby. So how are you playing this year?
Well, it's obviously it has to be category by category. So like we're all the same. So what I do is you have to think about the race in total, and you have to think about the narrative and where we're up to in the Oscar season. You also have to think about who's voting, and then you have to look at how the film in particular has performed in other categories, and then you have to think about who's won in the last couple of weeks or when the SAG voters were voting. So that's generally what I've been thinking. But then I do like to just go for a couple of no guts, no glories, especially with SAG, because they do tend to bore me to tears, and I'm just doing that to keep myself awake. Now, I'm just being completely honest there. So don't ever follow my predictions because they're probably going to be wrong. However, that being said, I don't know if we're ready to talk about supporting actress, because I think we should, because that one to me is the most interesting without having Regina King there. And as a lot of people have said over the last few days, whoever wins this category is really going to shake things up, perhaps, in the Oscar narrative going forward. For example, if Rachel Weisz or Emma Stone, and perhaps even most likely Amy Adams win, Regina King's team are going to be very, they're going to be nervous. It's going to hurt her. However, I don't think Margot Robbie has a chance here, but if Emily Blunt happens to win and the SAG voters have a real hard on for her, then that could perhaps maybe give Regina King a leg up, because Emily Blunt obviously is not in the Oscar race. And so I can't even remember what I have in the predictions center because that's been turned off. I was going to change them this morning and then I just didn't get around to it. But I actually think
Is that right?
I probably have Amy Adams because that seems to be the safe bet. But I actually think Emily Blunt has a really good chance here to actually win some hardware for once. I'll never forget her nomination a couple of years ago for Girl on the Train. And they really like her. And I just think there has been some grumbling about how Emily Blunt missed out at the Oscars last week. So I could really see that happening. I would love to see that happen. And that would really then actually make me feel better about my Regina King prediction at the Oscars in a few weeks' time. So anyway, I didn't really answer your question, but I think that's...
Regina King would send her flowers if she won.
I think she should.
I really wanted... I had Emily Blunt in my #1 spot for a long time, and then I thought, you know what? I can't go out on too many limbs because I want to get a good score. But I honestly... I think the leg up that Amy Adams has is if they want to try to predict the Oscar winners, you know? And so if they're just like voting for people who got nominated at the Oscars, that works as an advantage to her, because I think that, you know, Rachel Weisz and Emma Stone haven't been able to separate themselves from each other. But I mean, Emily Blunt is, you know, she's in my #2 because, you know, I think Regina King is still the Oscar frontrunner, and I think that Amy Adams winning for this role, I think for a lot of people would feel like Al Pacino winning for Son of a Woman. And I kind of have a feeling that she might not really pick up any hardware for this. I say that even though I'm predicting her, so I don't know how to feel.
Regardless of who wins for Regina King, the worst thing that can happen is there be a consensus between SAG and BAFTA.
Yeah.
So whatever happens, if it's Emily Blunt, if it's Emma Stone, if it's Amy Adams, whoever wins here, the best thing that can happen is it's not like Rachel Weisz, and she gets on this winning streak that'll just lead her through Oscars. Because if somebody sweeps those two, which I don't think they are, then it will be almost impossible for me to predict Regina King in any logical sense. So if you're picking Amy Adams, good, that's fine. I think she might win this too. I think Rachel Weisz wins BAFTA. That's the best scenario for Regina King. And shame on her people for not getting her there. Like, she can't present. Like, I don't understand the strategy of stay away, because when you're out of sight and out of mind the entire month, and all these other ladies are going to award shows, it's not going to end well. At least in my opinion, it could not end well.
I really
At
wish
least
that
they'll remember seeing her there. They might not remember she won, but they'll be like, yeah, I saw her. Okay, Regina King, check.
Yeah.
The one thing I fear for Amy Adams and Emily Blunt is that they'll split the vote because they're both nominated twice. And I don't know, I have Amy Adams winning this category, but I don't feel confident about it at all. And for a moment, I had Rachel Weisz in number one. And then on Thursday, I actually watched The Favorite. And then I realized that Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz are both amazing. And then I don't see how one of them could win. So so I have Emily Blunt in second as well. I think, Zach, you have Emily Blunt in second as well.
I do,
So
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what to do with this category. It gives me a headache.
I want to make a clarifying point, though, about Regina King presenting here. According to Chris Beecham, she asked to present, but was denied. So,
Oh, well, that's really
so
in
that's
poor taste.
insane.
Yeah. So-
Insane.
That's in really poor taste.
Oh, what a
So
great.
just wanted to
group.
make sure that was clarified for anybody who was wondering.
Yeah,
She
that's
is
Yeah.
she is trying her best to be out there.
Get to
and,
BAFTA.
yeah.
Get on a flight to London quick.
Yes.
I think that if Rachel Weisz wins tonight, then the Oscar is hers. Because I think
Yeah.
we generally assume that she'll have an easier time at BAFTA since the British seem to be
Parochial.
more receptive of her performance than Emma Stone's, like how the London Film Critics awarded Rachel Weisz and the British Independent Film Awards nominated her without nominating Emma Stone. So
I really
think-
wish
And I think that Rachel Weisz in this one, first of all, I think this is a better performance than The Constant Gardener. But I do think it's this big performance. I mean, at one point she's got a huge scar and she's really over the top in a way that Emma Stone isn't. Like, she really gets her chance to like chew the scenery and has that dance. But I do, yeah, I agree with Riley. If she wins, I'm so sorry, Regina. I really, really am, because that Oscar will be Rachel's.
I really wish that Marina de Tavera was nominated in this category, because I would absolutely predict her as sort of like the award for Roma of the evening, and it would, because I think that she could be a threat in the Marcia Gay Harden mold, but it's really
Didn't
hard.
Marcia Gay Harden at least get a Critics' Choice nomination?
She had like no, she had like a New York Film Critics.
Yeah, she
win.
had some kind
New York
before
Film
that.
I'm just saying, like, it'd be a lot easier to predict her to
Yeah.
win in this category as like an award for Roma, and then maybe, because I feel like there could be some real competition there, depending on how
Because
much love Roma has, because Roma is not nominated anywhere.
yeah,
tonight.
it's gone.
Yeah, and this
We're not going to see
is
it at all.
if the race is between Roma and The Favorite, because they are the two leading films with nominations. This is The Favorite's one chance, and Black Klansman's one chance to have a show to be the center of attention. So this is really their chance to be the narrative.
Yeah, I think if Marina de Tavera were nominated here, I would not predict her, but it would have helped my Oscar prediction score, because then I would have had her instead of Linda Cardellini.
No, but I respect the prediction. I do. I think, you know what, if you're going to go for a fifth place that's a little out of the box, you had a justifiable reason to do so. So I like it. Did I miss actor and actress?
No.
No, I think that
We
might
haven't
be the
gone
end
that
of
long.
Zach. He has to duck out in a
Well,
round.
Zach was just so upset about Marina de Tavera, so he's out.
Yeah,
sorry.
so it was nice having you, Zach.
Well,
All right, Amanda, what do you want to say about actor and actress? Where do you want to start?
I think with actor, the poor Bradley Cooper didn't get a directing nomination. Voting was almost done, if not done, at the beginning of the week. So we won't see that narrative tonight, so don't be shocked if he doesn't win. Look for that at BAFTA. So I think Rami Malek, he's a TV star. He's jumped over to film, and he gives this big performance. And I mean, your problems with the movie aside, and I understand people's problems, I was just in such a bad mood that it made me happy. So I don't care what anyone says. I think that he could win, and to win to stop Bale.
I also have him winning. So.
Yeah.
Oh, Zach.
And
I
we've
dropped out
seen-
for a moment. Yeah.
It's funny, recently we've seen like old women actresses winning Best Actress, and we've seen younger men winning Best Actor with Eddie Rudd potentially. Rami Malek in the mix. So it's been, nice.
And he's never won a SAG award. I don't know if that matters, but I do
No.
think
Well, I do think it's between him and Bale. I'm going with Bale just because he's got a little bit more hardware next to his name, and I also, I do kind of wonder how that film is going to survive some recent headline-making news.
His fault, and I think
know,
they have,
it's not, but
with Ali, separated him.
I know. I just,
were they
Second.
voting at when, especially the recent stuff? I don't know if they were voting.
Yes.
They were, okay, because
Yeah,
that actually is a very, very good point. They don't care if it's not his fault or not. It's just the stink that is now on this film.
I think that might hurt the ensemble. I don't think it'll hurt him.
Yeah, that's right. I'm still predicting it to an ensemble, and I still think Rami Malek will win. And to
You're
me,
going for a mini sweep.
I am. I really am, and I don't care if I eat my words in a few hours' time. I really just, I think this one's almost a no-brainer for me. Like, he just is a younger ingenue kind of actor who is on TV and very respected, and has moved over to film, and he's playing an icon, and he did a very good job. And even if you don't like the film, you have to at least recognize and acknowledge that he did a bloody good job as Freddie Mercury. And I think that's enough. I think that's enough for a lot of these actors and TV producers, TV presenters and clowns and so forth to vote for him.
And one of his last film credits is just so funny. He went Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 2 to now he's Freddie Mercury.
Right.
About to maybe potentially win an Oscar. Yeah.
That's right.
Do we think it's
That's
just the
crazy.
controversies that have led to Christian Bale leading the odds in our prediction center? Because I'm a little surprised.
I think that
He
it's
did win a couple of Critics' Choice Awards, but the critics were never fans of Bohemian Rhapsody anyway, so I don't know why that would have changed the narrative.
it's about it being a transformative performance. I know that Rami is transformative too, but it's not to the same extent as Christian Bale, gaining 60 pounds and channeling Satan.
His heart is going to explode when he gains and loses weight. Sorry.
It's a very transformative performance, you're right. And it's more so than Malik, you would say objectively. And Bale has certainly picked up steam, and it helped that the critics had his back. The critics were never going to give Bohemian Rhapsody anything. The Hollywood Foreign Press are not critics, right? They are not at all. And so this one is going to be a real test for this one is so important for the Oscar race. All of these categories are, as we just said earlier about supporting actress. That's what makes the SAG Awards exciting.
See, I think this year is actually the one time that the SAG Awards are not important, which I said in a previous video about how I think this year everything's going to be thrown off by how we have these huge movies like Bohemian Rhapsody and A Star is Born that everyone has seen. I think normally things are kind of on a more even playing field, and they can kind of award who the Oscars will award later. But I think this year, visibility and just the general popularity of the performances in Bohemian Rhapsody and A Star is Born will push Rami Malek and Lady Gaga to SAG Awards. But the more elite and prestigious Oscar voters will ultimately go a different direction.
And I agree with you. Either if Bale or Malek wins this category, you need to hold off on thinking you've got the Oscar, because if Cooper wins BAFTA with the poor me, I didn't get a directing nomination, let's rally around him and give him Best Actor, there's your race, folks. Like that, there's your winner. So I think it matters I don't think it matters as much in actor, but for Best Actress, it absolutely matters. This is Glenn Close's last chance to win on television tonight. Because if Coleman wins, it's over. It's done. So he has to win tonight.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good thing I'm predicting her, so that
helps. I am too. But I think that to me that seems like a no-brainer as well. But if she loses, I don't think that can. I think she can lose from now until Oscar night, and she will probably still win the Oscars. I just have this sense that it's her turn at the Oscars with the Academy. And I can't see how she's going to lose tonight, but if she does, I don't necessarily see that hurting her. In fact, I think it could even help, because people were like, oh my God, we can't risk the backlash of not giving our award to Glenn Close.
Yeah.
And
especially after the Globes did it, and that's not their thing.
It's
Yeah.
her 7th nomination, folks.
Yeah.
I mean, she's
She has to win.
yeah.
And even I don't think BAFTA. This is not about BAFTA, but I don't necessarily think Coleman is completely a shoo-in at BAFTA either. They're very parochial, but they do sometimes use some other kind of judgment apart from who's British. But look, I think Glenn Close
Well, she's still in the race. I think, you know, sometimes that tips the scale your way. So like for me, I'm like, this might be close or Gaga's last chance televised award. So
well, I should point out we do have some more incoming news from our news deck. If Olivia Colman wins tonight, she's not going to give a speech because she's not going to be there. She's still shooting The Crown. So Olivia Colman could perhaps win tonight, and it wouldn't make much of a difference at all in terms of like how the acceptance speeches are going to go.
I think the Golden Globes are a lot more widely viewed as well. I'm not sure how much this one or the Critics' Choice really matter in terms of. No one watches.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be a tie either. So
no.
Now
I think Glenn Close's hurdle was the Globes. After that, I think she's going to win SAG. I don't know if she'll win BAFTA, but I feel confident about SAG and then the Oscar. I think it's her time. Yeah. I think everyone knows it's her time.
Yeah.
I just couldn't predict her without at least taking up SAG. I just can't do it.
I get that. Me too. Yes.
Luca, I'll ask you a bit more about that. You mentioned that you don't think that she'll necessarily win BAFTA, but in recent years, last year in particular, we saw all 4 performances just sweep. And I feel like Gold Derby and everybody, we always overestimate in recent years how much BAFTA will actually award their own people as opposed to just predict the Oscars. So I feel like right now, Glenn Close,
it depends on how close
are the popular choices for the SAG Awards, but Olivia Colman and Rachel Weisz are leading our odds for BAFTA, which seems...
It depends on how close the Brit is in the race. Like for example, Julianne Moore was gonna win. That she just went on a sweep. But Rosamund Pike and Felicity Huffman weren't close enough to be a factor. It's kind of the same thing with like Naomi Harris. On paper, she probably won that BAFTA award, but it was Viola's year. So if that's the storyline, like it's Glenn Close's year, she'll win. But that storyline hasn't completely taken off yet because it's still a little competitive.
Well,
and
just wait for tonight.
She plays a queen. If that storyline takes off tonight, then she absolutely could win. But you know, sometimes they give a Brit a fighting chance. When they gave Dev Patel that BAFTA for Lion over Mahershala Ali, that kept him in the conversation and made the race at least a little competitive up until the last minute.
We should also point out that, Olivia Colman over, in Great Britain is thought of more as a TV actress than a film actress. And sometimes they can turn their nose up to that. So, they could just go for the movie star in that instance, And also Mahershala lost to BAFTA because, BAFTA's got a little bit of a problem, they have
a lot of a problem.
I don't know.
An African American losing to an Indian actor, an Asian actor, I don't think you can really call them what you were insinuating.
I don't think they have a problem at all. It's just that the African American narrative is not as front of mind in the UK and Australia and other parts of the world as it is in the US. That's my view. But
they surely have a problem with the Washington family.
Yeah, they don't like that family.
I think it's just an awful coincidence. I don't know. I think it's an awful coincidence.
For them.
All right, let's switch over to our last film category. I'll go to you, Luca, since you actually are predicting Black Panther for ensemble. You'd think that you would also predict it for stunt ensemble, where it's leading the odds, but you've actually got Mission Impossible. So what's going on there?
Well, they already announced the winner, so Black Panther won the category.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, I guess I got one right. That's great.
They announced who won TV.
Glow.
Yeah. So I didn't get that.
Glow won TV.
Yeah.
Well, all right. I'm 2 for 2 now.
I'm 0 for 2.
I picked Westworld.
I'm 1 for 2. I had Mission Impossible just because I saw a few people predicting it, and I don't know. I didn't think Black Panther could
win. Sorry, I didn't realize the winner had been announced.
The stunts are so good in Mission Impossible. I can't believe that film keeps losing things. Anyway.
Yeah, that was stupid of me. Amazing. I changed this morning because I'm so smart.
Yeah. Oh, last minute switcheroo. That's the problem. Are we doing TV now, Riley?
Oh, we sure are. Yeah. So how do you feel about Glow now? I mean,
I
one
have
thing
to.
about Glow is that
I don't feel good
they
about
have actually sent DVDs out to the entire SAG membership. Marvelous Mrs. Maisel only sent digital screeners.
What
Yeah.
about Handmaids?
Handmaids only sent DVDs. What's weird
Okay.
about TV is they all did either one or the other, whereas
Mhm.
a lot of the films did both because you're spending millions of dollars and it's key to the Oscar race. So.
Wow.
Does the presentation of screeners impact anybody's predictions?
No.
Yes, in a certain sense, but also, I should say that sometimes they just, everyone likes to pick the winner, so they might just go with whoever the front runners are without even watching the movie. I have to sign out, so that'll be my last thought of the evening. Good luck on your SAG predictions, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you, Zach.
Thank
You
you.
again. All right. So, do all of you have The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel for TV comedy ensemble just because it won the most Emmys ever by a comedy series this past year?
Well, it also got in 3 actors. I think that's very important. I mean, they got in Brosnahan, Borstein, and Shalhoub, so I think that's important. And
It really helps.
yeah, and I just feel like it's gonna win. I mean, it was shut out completely last year because I think it aired too late, and SAG voters probably didn't see it early enough. I just feel like it has the momentum. I don't think people are too tired of it yet, of it winning everything. So I think it has this in the bag. I mean, Glow is a spoiler, I guess.
I don't know.
Maybe-
I think the
I
spoiler
don't
is
think it's
Barry.
Barry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Barry, right? Yeah.
I think it is Barry, and also because of Bill Hader and Henry Winkler
Yeah, right.
both being nominated, and HBO, the power of HBO behind it,
and it feels like an ensemble show. It's like a rare
Yeah.
auteur
it's
ensemble
actily.
show. Yeah.
So is the Kaminsky method is also actily, but Barry, I have this feeling that we could see a surprise here, but I think I am going with the consensus. Mrs. Maisel, as Luca very rightly says, people aren't sick of that yet. And that's actually being tired of a show and that kind of ad nauseum feeling is a factor sometimes, but I don't think we're there yet with Mrs. Maisel. So it's going to be very
and I
interesting.
think a lot of shows do win after they win their series award, or they at least pop up in the nomination. So, and I think this is a show that feels like a very big ensemble, so that always helps. Yes, I love it.
And it's all very showy performances. I mean, everyone, it's a true, as you said, it's a true ensemble, and I think everyone gives their A game. I think it's going to win.
Yeah.
See, what concerns me is that maybe we should not be looking at the Emmys at all. I mean, so many of SAG's nominees last year were not nominated at the Emmys, even though the Emmys have so many more slots, so many more categories. And then at SAG, we tend to see the same shows win over and over again, even long after people are tired of them, like Orange is the New Black or Downton Abbey.
Orange is the New Black won 3. Like that's usually, as far as an ensemble goes, that's where most of them top out is 3.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I would say like most shows that are usually in the Emmy hunt are here, and I think The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. We all know the actors. It takes usually a year to get caught up, but I do think they're just kind of, they're going to win this. Veep isn't in competition, and then they'll gladly turn it over to Veep at the Emmys, probably.
Yeah, I agree.
Same thing with Rachel Brosnahan. Enjoy the night.
That's a long.
Get your win.
She's going to win again.
Smile and clap in September when Julia wins that last Emmy.
Yeah.
I think JLD should come out and I hope you guys have enjoyed me not being around. But I'll see
Rachel
you in
Brosnahan should just
September.
thank her.
Yeah.
Thank you for not airing.
I mean, that probably wouldn't go down well because of Julia's misfortune, but she's going to rally, obviously, and we're looking forward to seeing her back. But yeah, Brosnahan's going to win again, and maybe I'm getting slightly tired of seeing her win awards, but we're probably not quite there because she's delightful.
Splitting's not a factor. She's Mrs. Still. She's the title character. She's the biggest voice in the show. So I think that it's just an easy 1-2 for the show, and then if vote splitting helps them.
Well, vote splitting actually is a big factor at SAG in the TV categories because there have been 26 instances in which a pair of co-stars have been nominated against each other in the comedy and drama categories against 3 other random actors. And all 26 times, the pair of co-stars has lost. But in this case, we have 2 pairs of co-stars, in which case that...
Edie Falco won co-star.
Yes, but she would have been nominated against either multiple co-stars or there would have been another pair.
Oh, you're talking just one. Okay.
So the only one that affects this year is Laura Linney and Julia Garner in Ozark. Otherwise, all this vote splitting doesn't really matter because there's vote splitting all over the place.
I would be shocked if either of those ladies won for Ozark.
I would love to see it.
I mean, I love them both on the show, but I
want to
just,
see Ozark win something. I know we're just switching over to drama, but Ozark did obviously very well. It overperformed, and this award group loves Ozark more than any other award group. And they really doubled down this year, didn't they? Having Julia Garner in there is insane. It's really great. I want to see Ozark win something, please.
The problem for Ozark is... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you can go ahead.
No, well, I was just going to say the problem for Ozark and for Bateman is that if they award you once at the SAG Awards, it almost doubles the chance to win again. Because if you win once, they like to prove it wasn't a fluke by giving you a second one, unless it's like a CSI or a Lost where they really go pop culture or Stranger Things. So that really helps This Is Us. You know, Sterling K. Brown, he is the most nominated actor this year at the SAG Awards. So, you know, if you're not voting for This Is Us and you're not voting for Black Panther, but you like Sterling K. Brown,
gotta give him something.
That's how Cranston won. So his
and I don't know. I switched over to Bateman, I think, a few days ago, just because I feel like there's a lot of support for Bateman. I mean, he got a directing nod at the Emmys, which I thought was shocking. And he also did get that actor nod, which I, at one point, had taken out. And while I do think Brown could absolutely happen, I don't know. I can't see him winning again for some odd reason. I can't explain. It's just a gut feeling.
Yeah, it's not just at SAG that Ozark is doing really well this year. It's doing well across the board at the guilds. It has been nominated by more guilds than any other drama except for The Handmaid's Tale. There's more than This Is Us, Westworld, and whoever else we normally see in these. So it looks like it'll have a very strong second Emmys, just because it seems like people have taken some time to find the show, and not actually because it's improved in quality, because there seems to be overwhelming consensus that this season was worse than the first one.
And it bodes well for their chances of getting into best drama series at the Emmys, that they're in the ensemble lineup.
Yeah, it really helps. It really does.
And Laura Linney, I mean, I thought this was Laura Linney's season personally. So I think
amazing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna talk about poor Elizabeth Moss. I know that's jumping over to Best Actress. She hasn't won her first. She hasn't won her first individual SAG award, and I just feel like this is going to be Sandra Oh's.
They will have forgotten. I think she's already like old news, which is so ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly.
She's so wonderful on The Handmaid's Tale. Yeah, Sandra Oh looks like the it person that keeps winning stuff, and she will, I think, very easily win this one. I don't know. I'd be very, very surprised if any of the other women win this.
Yeah,
I think.
I agree.
Right.
I agree with that too. I do think Robin Wright might be the one, and that kind of, we respect you for continuing on with the show, and
and she got the nomination. I think that's important.
They might want to give her a good pat on her back for keeping those 200 people with jobs. So
that's actually a really good point.
I think that there are 2 ways that you can win a SAG TV award. Either you're actually deserving, or you've got name recognition, or I guess visibility as well. And I feel like Robin Wright is kind of a good, perfect storm of those things, where House of Cards is something that everybody has seen over the years, whereas I'm not sure if people have actually seen Killing Eve. And there is a lot of buzz for Sandra Oh right now, but is that just, confined to awards given out by journalists, or is that something that's felt by, the general populace of the 160,000 SAG members?
Yeah,
well,
and
she's going to take. Go ahead.
Well, I was just say, rightly or wrongly, I think the narrative about her being an Asian, Canadian, American, whatever she is, actress helps her as well, and the diversity element, which I don't think should be the driver for winning awards. It really shouldn't, and it is not for her, in my opinion. I think she's so freaking amazing in killing Eve, but I just do believe that is going to probably help her too.
I think
If
she's
she's
just
gonna-
extremely popular. I think that helps her as well. She's really well liked.
She's got the Grey's Anatomy vote locked down. That's a big show. But if she's going to win the Emmy on a small show, it helps to keep her momentum up, picking up award after award after award, especially if she is going to be the first Asian actress to win Best Actress at the Emmys for a drama series. So the more momentum she has going, now I will tell you that Golden Globe plus SAG doesn't usually equal Emmy, but she might be the rarity where she needs all of that support leading into it.
Yeah. And one little red flag that I do, it's a good red flag for Elizabeth Moss, is having Joseph Fiennes join the male side actually means that they watched season 2 and they actually really like The Handmaid's Tale. It's not just a ticking of the box scenario, like they like it because they nominated him. So that adds to the show. Yeah.
And we know they have an Amazon subscription because they nominated John Krasinski.
For Jack Wright. I think that's really fascinating and interesting. Like, that's a good category because I haven't just checked off the same names every year like they tend to do. So if Elizabeth Moss wins, what we'll be saying in 3 or 4 hours' time is, they made up for last year and they Joseph Fiennes being in there, we should have noticed that, they like The Handmaid's Tale. That'll be the argument for Elizabeth Moss.
Just jumping back to comedy real quick, who do you have winning comedy actor? This is my big leap. I'm going with Henry Winkler. I think they're going to give that TV vet a big hug.
I'd love that. I'm going with
I think he's had a moment that I just think he's like slumming. I think they're going to be like, let's wait till season 2 with you. Where like this is Henry Winkler's moment after the Emmys. He's a TV veteran. Yeah.
I know the vote splitting might hurt him and also the Kaminsky people.
Yeah, I know.
I have Douglas as well. I don't know.
Watch Tony Shalhoub win, and he'll be the first person to win the category twice. He's already won it twice for Monk, but he'll be the first one. And he shows he'll join Julia as the only one on the comedy side to do so.
He's a huge spoiler. I think that could absolutely happen.
I think I have him in second for that reason because I fear the vote splitting.
Yeah, in this case, I'm going with Michael Douglas just because he's the biggest name, and we did see William H. Macy win 3 times, I think, and Alec Baldwin. Did he win 8 or was it 7?
7.
7.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
He lost on the 8th time, but in general, they go with the biggest name, and also Michael Douglas is on Netflix.
Way to whitewash the category, guys! Like, really, bravo on the comedy side.
So even though nobody has seen the Kaminsky Method, the SAG voters might have, because the SAG voters
love
Netflix.
Yes.
They do. They really do.
Are they getting free Netflix subscriptions? Because if they are, I'd like to join
I know of, but Netflix sends them DVDs aggressively, I guess you could say, compared to all the other networks. The only other show that voters received on DVD this year was The Handmaid's Tale.
So can we do...
Go for it.
Oh, no, just for TV drama ensemble, before we move up to the movie categories, so what are we thinking? Because is the Americans just going to surprise us again? Because they keep doing that to me. What if it happens? Like, it could. It just could happen. Although this seems more likely.
Don't look back. That's one of their very common traits. Remember when Alec Baldwin lost on the eighth nomination? It was because the show had been off the air for a year.
If they win, though, what will you say in 3 hours' time if they win?
That they finally look back. That helps them. That helps a show like Game of Thrones next year. It gives a lot of other shows hope. But typically, Sex and the City, they were nominated, but they were off the air a year. They typically don't look back. They look forward.
I think I'm actually really thinking that maybe Ozark might have this, even though I think I've been going with This Is Us. I think Ozark is a real chance here. I just think it does. It's done very well, and they do love the show, and they're watching it.
Most shows that have won win again. So that's my philosophy with This Is Us. It's a perfect ensemble to award a second time. It's not too pop culture. It's a big ensemble. They're always together. So and plus, I think I think those networks might band together and go, This is our category. Not this year.
Yeah, Amanda, I'm surprised that you say that they don't look back. I feel like all SAG does is look back. sometimes they look way back and just go with.
I mean, they
movie
do
stars.
look back as far as like I think Anthony Hopkins could upset in limited actor, but I feel like if your show's been off the air for a long time and it's not having another season coming up, they typically will nominate you, and the nomination is the award.
Like Breaking Bad never won until it won for its final
Breaking
season.
Bad didn't start their Emmy run at the Emmys. They started with the Golden Globes, then they went to the SAG Awards, then they went to the Emmys. If you've already been through your Emmy cycle and you're rounding out, if SAG Awards is your last stop, that's not usually conducive of continuing winning.
I don't know. I just find it crazy how, like Rob said, the Americans keep surprising us. It's like at the Golden Globes.
That was
How
shocking.
they
I would
were
love for it to
nominated.
happen because it will help other shows in the future.
Yeah, so this was their first nomination for drama series at the Golden Globes.
That's
And then they
also
won.
most
And it
shows
made
don't
them-
win on their first
And it
nomination.
made them look good. I think that's why they were doing that. I think a very English scandal will win the ensemble prize. Oh, sorry, hang on. You don't give out an award for the ensemble.
Ridiculous.
No, we have to have Megan Mullally.
How
host this
ridiculous. Why? Why don't they do that? We say this every year. It's so stupid.
I
thing.
actually
Because they
have no
have to
problem with
waste
this.
time.
Why? Why? Tell me, Riley. Why not?
Yes, I will tell you. It's because
Thank you.
on the film side, they've got 4 categories for individual performances, right? On the TV side, we've got 6. We've got comedy, we've got drama, we've got movie mini, and we also have doubled the ensemble awards on television side. So I feel like television is already getting so many opportunities to receive awards. So
They could
I feel
award it
like-
off air.
Yeah.
Like
There's
there's
just so
some
many-
pretty good ensembles there.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's
I'm
some-
always in favor of less is more when it comes to awards.
I want more awards, just constant awards.
But I would like to go back to drama. I think that This Is Us, to some extent, is becoming old news, and I feel like Sterling K. Brown's performance especially. He won the Golden Globe and the Critics' Choice Award. Then he was not nominated for either this year. So I feel like people are moving on from him, and that'll be a great place to award Ozark in that male actor drama category, because Ozark has so much support, and Sterling K. Brown might have dwindling support.
I
On the
can't
other
believe I'm the
hand-
one playing it safe.
Yeah. On the other hand, I think that This Is Us will continue to reign in the drama category because it seems like the problem there is just getting the nomination from the nominating committee. So I don't know how long that's going to keep up, with all this prestige television on Netflix and so forth. They weren't nominated their first year, but their second year, once they were nominated, it was the consensus choice because it's on NBC where it gets, tens of millions of viewers per week. And we saw with Downton Abbey, like I said, where even once that show was not the pop culture phenomenon that it was, it just kept winning that top award, even though maybe Maggie Smith wasn't winning. So
Well, Maggie Smith only won the year that Breaking Bad won ensemble. That's the year that she won, was when they did not win ensemble. So, yeah. But Downton Abbey, ER, I mean, those kind of shows where the casts are always together are what they like. And This Is Us,
That's true. Yeah.
they're always together.
I would love for Handmaids. I mean, I'm probably the only person who actually liked Handmaids season 2.
Oh no, I loved it. I loved it.
But
I
you did.
agree.
That's
No.
great.
I would
That's
love
great.
to see this happen.
I would love to see that because
Yeah,
regardless of how bad some people thought the season
Yeah,
was,
that's
I think
awesome.
the ensemble is great. But unfortunately, I think it's old news, and that's a bit sad. I don't think it's happening.
No,
So we really don't think it's going to be Better Call Saul then, eh?
No.
no, I don't
It
think.
seems like Better Call Saul just gets in when there's space. I mean, Bob Odenkirk, he was in for the first season. I think he's out for
when
the
there's
second
space.
season, and he's brought back. This year, there seems to be a bit of a drought in drama series for some reason, even though they had tons of options like The Haunting of Hill House. So now Better Call Saul can sneak in there.
That
Yeah.
snub hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sure did.
So are
can-
we going for movie mini actors? Everybody just picking Darren Criss?
Yeah, but please, can we see someone else win? I'm so no offense to him, but I'm tired of it now. Enough. Can we please see Hugh Grant win this so that we can then say he's a better
I
chance?
want him to win.
I really want him to win something, guys.
I thought he had that Globe. You know who I'm really worried about is on his first individual nomination is Anthony Hopkins. Like, it will not surprise me in the
First individual.
least Yeah, he's never been nominated individually. He is a living legend.
Wow.
Yeah.
If Alexander Skarsgård had not pulled off that win last year, I would just go, what the hell? I'll put him in first place and see what happens. But
They just,
Wow.
Aaron
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Rob, I
Mhm.
don't think you need to worry because Hugh Grant will win the SAG Award. Darren
Will he?
Criss' reign
Okay.
will finally end.
Really?
And here's why. Yes,
Yeah.
Alexander Skarsgård, he won last year. But normally what happens in this category is that it goes to the biggest movie star because, SAG voters are busy watching movies or, telling the weather on TV or whatever. They don't have time to watch
Being a
TV
clown.
miniseries or seek out, whatever random mediocre HBO movie happened to air this year. So they just vote for their favorite. Now, Big Little Lies was a phenomenon last year. I don't think that the assassination of Gianni Versace was a phenomenon on the same scale. So I'm reverting to the old method of just going with the biggest name. In that case, I think it's Hugh Grant. Yes, maybe Anthony Hopkins, but yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say your argument almost worked for my argument, which is Anthony Hopkins. Like,
Yeah,
but
I'm
I want to
ignore
be
that.
wrong. I want to be wrong. I think it would be lovely to see a TV miniseries movie category go to a performance that's somewhat funny.
Yeah.
I mean,
that would be
they're
great. Actually, Bill Pullman is one of my favorite actors, and he has not ever won anything, and he's very rarely nominated, if at all. If you look at his
he's not going to win for that. I didn't even know there was
I know that, but I'm just saying, like, he is so respected, and if you look at his film history, he has very little nominations to his name for anything, and I would even love to see him win, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind if it was Antonio Banderas.
And I'm going to have to get up on the TV and just walk away.
For what it's worth, I thought he was even better in the second season of The Sinner. I'm one of the 5 people who actually watched the second season.
Oh, okay. So when it's on Netflix, maybe I'll catch up.
Yeah, it's on Netflix now. So I'm going to watch that shortly. I'm just catching up with all the Oscar movies, and then I'll start with all the Emmy stuff.
Yeah.
Just like the SAG voters, you don't have time for TV.
Pretty much. I don't have time to watch everything. I have a
Well,
life.
I find if I don't sleep, it frees up like 6
that
or 7
really
hours
helps.
to watch
If you don't
television.
sleep, don't eat, don't work, you can generally watch everything.
Well, I do sleep. I do work, but I find if I don't sleep for 6 hours, that really frees up my television.
Movies and TV. Yeah.
All right, so we'll move on to our last SAG category for refreshing this panel.
One's tough.
So this one, I'm sticking with Amy Adams for Sharp Objects because I understand that Patricia Arquette has an undeniable performance in Escape at Dannemora. I don't think anybody saw it. I think that Amy Adams is generally more liked than Patricia Arquette. I feel like some people saw Sharp Objects. There was, buzz about that show.
And I didn't like her performance in Escape at Dannemora.
You didn't?
Oh, interesting.
I did. She's good. I think she could win. It's between those two. I don't think Patricia Clarkson will necessarily.
I liked her performance. I'm sorry. I flipped that in my head. I like her performance. I just don't want to listen to her give another acceptance speech. Like, she kind of bores me acceptance speech wise. Like, she's got to read from a paper.
She's slightly controversial, and I like that.
Yeah.
Look, without being too mean to anyone, because they all did wonderful work, I don't want Penelope Cruz to win this. So can we just make sure that doesn't happen?
Well, that's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Same like Emma Stone, it's not happening.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, I think this helps Emma Stone's Emmy chances.
Yeah.
TBD, like mid-season TBD, she, let's pencil her in for 1 of 6. But, for Patricia Clarkson, like, I love her. It's just going to be hard to get past your daughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who would watch Sharp Objects and vote for Patricia Clarkson over Amy Adams.
Yeah.
I do fear, like I said before, though, that Adams splits the vote with herself. I've been fearing that, I fear that the Golden Globes, and I don't know if that factored into her losing both awards, but I just hope it doesn't happen here. I have Arquette in number 1 just because I had Adams in number 1 at the Globes.
It
disappointed me. So,
that does worry me, but sometimes I think some people have the opposite where they're like, I love Amy Adams. I want to see her win. I don't care which one. I'm just going to check her off in both. Like, they don't care. And they're just going to, I see, sometimes it's like, well, maybe I'm wasting a vote voting for her twice, but I think there are people who are like, I loved her in this. I want to see her win. I'm going to check her off both times.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah,
we certainly see
Helen
that,
Mirren
like,
won
with-
twice too, but it's really
We've
hard.
seen it with Idris Elba, I think, most recently.
Yeah,
With Kate Winslet on the film side. I actually have Patricia Arquette in third because
Kate Winslet didn't win twice on the film side. Meryl Streep won, and
Whatever.
for doubt. Sorry.
just making
Before
stuff up
someone
now.
writes that in the
Just making
comments,
stuff up.
Yeah. So I've got Emma Stone second
awards
because
as far as
Maniac
facts are
was on,
concerned.
Netflix, and Netflix did send out DVDs of Maniac, and I feel like that one might have gotten visibility anyway, just from being on Netflix. The only thing that concerns me is that she's not really in the first episode. So voters thought, oh, sample this thing that Emma Stone's in, and then she's not even there.
But she does make the show. I mean, I think she was the best part about that show. I didn't like Maniac overall, but I thought she was truly the standout. I think she's the reason why I was able to watch.
I got
some
through
of
an
the episodes.
episode and a half. How many
Yeah.
episodes?
It's just, it wasn't my bag.
Yeah, it was good.
There we go. Well, I think
There we
we've
go.
heard enough from all of you. So I'd like to invite Matt, Charlie, and Tony. I would like to say get out, but I don't want to be left here all alone.
No.
For the
I'll
joint.
wait. We'll
So
wait. We'll keep you
waiting.
company until.
So
it
have
turns
you released Matt from your basement, Rob? Like he's joining us? That's the rumor.
He's back in Australia now, so I have released him.
Back in Australia's code from he let him out.
I let him out. How do you know these things? You're so far away.
All right.
Hi, Tony.
Yes. Thanks for joining. I'll just start ejecting you. That's my
Wow,
plan.
that's
I-
Good luck with your predictions, everyone.
Have fun at the
Bye.
most boring award show on TV.
Yeah, and she's gone. And Luca, I clicked eject. There he is. And
Ejection you.
Rob, having some trouble.
What? I'm just going to go myself, okay?
Yeah, Rob, if you could just eject yourself. I'm
I'm just going to stay.
help to do it.
I changed my mind. I'm just going to stay. No, I'm
Protest.
going.
Get out of here, Rob.
Okay,
Occupy Gold Derby.
There we go. I got rid of him.
Uh,
All right, guys. Let's liven this chat up again like we're just starting. So, Tony, what are you predicting for best film cast?
Why'd you have to start with me? I'm going to say that they're going to do exactly what they did last year and go for the popular big thing and go with Black Panther. Having absolutely zero confidence, because I think this is one thing where, like, this is one category where literally I think any of them can win.
All right, Tony, let me stop you right there. What are you talking about last year when they went with the big thing? Because didn't Three Billboards win last year?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking 2 years ago. Sorry. I was thinking 2 years ago. Sorry. You know, all the Oscar years just start to run together when you've been talking about them as long as we have.
All right, next, Matt, what's winning film cast? And I say film cast because that's actually, it's called cast. It's not called ensemble with the SAG Awards. And I feel like that might lead to some translation issues when we're always talking about like, oh, this film doesn't really have an ensemble, but it's just best cast.
yeah, I'm going with Black Klansman, partly because I feel like it's done well in industry nominations all the way through, but hasn't had a chance to win anything big yet. And I think this could be its opportunity to win something big with, particularly without Roma, which is sort of at the moment the best picture front runner. In its way, I think it feels like more of a sort of like it's like when you look at A Star Is Born, like Bradley Cooper put himself in the role. It's a bit of a smaller, like it seems like, funnily enough, Black Klansman, I'm just looking at it, has the smallest cast of all the nominees that are nominated. And often, like, so to argue against myself here, like,
Sounds like a recipe
you
for
could be
disaster.
looking. Yeah, it does. It's a recipe for disaster. But I do think the film like feels like each of the members of the cast have a nice showcase in the film, and I think that I don't know. I just feel like this is Black Klansman's sort of. This is their real opportunity to win something big this season. I think the competition is split. I think that it's respected by the industry, and Roma's not in the mix.
All right, and Charlie.
I guess you can cue the eye rolling from some people because I'm picking Bohemian Rhapsody. to win Best Ensemble. I don't know why. I just feel I'm having this weird Woody Allen view on life where I should just be the most pessimistic that I can and just hope I'm not disappointed. Which is how I've actually been approaching my dating life as well. And that's looking up, but that's beside the point.
I don't know. I don't know that we want to compare ourselves in any way, shape, or form to Woody Allen. Just saying.
It's probably a step up for me, but that's beside the point. I just think that this film. I think one of the interesting things I think we've been seeing this season is how like sites like ours or or the film Twitter universe is so vehemently against movies like Green Book and Bohemian Rhapsody, and that tends to exaggerate a lot of the legitimate problems that people might have about those things. And I think that's sort of solidified the people that really responded to the movie. I think that solidified the members of the Hollywood Foreign Press, and I think it'll probably solidify with some of the SAG voters.
But the question is can you talk about anything being solidified when you've got Hollywood Foreign Press, you've got 80 to 90 people, SAG-AFTRA, you've got how many voting members?
But you also have it. But this also includes people that are not as directly tied into the heart of the industry because of the merger with AFTRA. That includes a lot more people that may not work in Hollywood. These are people that work, for news stations and as on-air personalities. They're now what's that?
Puppeteers.
Yes, exactly. Those those wonderful puppeteers.
I'm not the puppet. You're the puppet.
I'm not getting into this with you again, okay? I am in no mood. I think that for them, because especially, I think it really comes down to that, especially with, actually, I should throw A Star Is Born in there because that I think also made over $200 million, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So you have three huge blockbusters in there, and I'm not sure, but I'm going with that's what I'm going to go with.
Now, what about how this year we've got Green Book and Roma, which you might consider our Best Picture front runners, and then you've got Vice and The Favorite, which are the two films I think we can all say didn't miss any nominations at the Oscars, showed up everywhere that they possibly could have, and none of those films are nominated for Best Cast, which is often the category that lines up with Best Picture. So if anything other than BlacKkKlansman wins, do we just move on and say, that was nice that whoever got that award? Does this have any bearing on the Best Picture race?
I think if A Star Is Born won, that would sort of all of a sudden that film would become at forefront of mind when talking about Best Picture and whether that film can do it without the director nom. That being said, I do agree. I think like BlacKkKlansman and A Star Is Born is our only legitimate Best Picture contender. Oh, sorry, Black Panther. If Black Panther won, I think that then becomes at least in the mix a little bit. But BlacKkKlansman's really your Best Picture contender since it's got a director nomination as well, which is why I also think it's in a good spot here to win, is because it is really your best position Best Picture contender at the moment at the Oscars.
All right, so we'll move over to Best Actor. So we'll stay with you, Matt. And what are you picking there?
Best Actor, I'm going Christian Bale. I just think this is one of those sort of transformative performances. He looks different. I think everyone's like, oh, he looks exactly like Dick Cheney. It's like a perfect sort of, it's a showy performance for sure. And I just think this is going to just keep on winning things, I feel, to the Oscars and solidify it. There's a good case to be made for Rami Malek, and I'm sure one of you guys will make it. But I think that actually Christian Bale's looking quite strong this award season, given the nature of the performance.
Yes, please make that argument if you can.
Me?
No, Charlie or Tony, are you predicting Rami Malek, or are you both going with
yes,
I'm predicting Rami Malek.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like Rami Malek very much fits into this like Eddie Redmayne mold. He's out there, he is campaigning the Dickens off, and he's that kind of like there's so many parallels to Eddie Redmayne, and just in terms of just being charming and charming enough people. Plus he's got kind of like the TV vote on his side, with whatever residual love he has from Mr. Robot. And I think that when you look at the two performances, they're both they are both in many ways transformative performances. So who might voters want to give a bigger hug to? Who's more cuddly? I don't think of the many things you can say about Christian Bale is he's not cuddly. So
don't speak for yourself on that one.
Yeah, we need to watch out for the screenwriter named Anthony McCartan, who wrote Bohemian Rhapsody. He previously wrote Theory of Everything, and he also wrote Darkest Hour. So if you want to win Best Actor, get a script by that guy.
Eddie Redmayne's playing, like, he does a good job as Freddie Mercury and stuff like that, but he pretty much just had like teeth, right? Like put in, like Christian Bale as the whole, like, we're not seeing an Oscar nomination for Best Makeup for Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, I feel like Christian Bale's is a lot more sort of transformative than your typical thing. And I'd say like Eddie Redmayne almost
You mean Rami Malek?
did the same thing. Mm-hmm. No, I'm saying Eddie Redmayne almost did the same with Stephen Hawking. So like, you're like, oh, look how different he is and all that sort of thing. Like, I don't know.
In a chair.
Yeah, and Christian Bale did not sing, but neither did Rami Malek. So Charlie, why are you predicting him?
I think again, it's because of the broader reach of SAG now. I think if it was mainly more just directly involved industry people, it would I think it would probably be Bale versus Cooper. But I think this one is just I think Malek is going to have a lot of goodwill with a lot of the actors who work outside of film, because it's not just for because of Mr. Robot, but because of how long he made his career doing TV performances, and I think that's definitely going to help him. And I think that there's just regardless of how people may feel about the movie, they like him, and I think that's going to come through.
Yeah. All right. And what about Best Actress? Is everyone going with Glenn Close just because she seems unstoppable at this point? Tony?
Yep. I honestly, before Golden Globes, I had Gaga, and then Golden Globes happened, and then Critics' Choice happened, but especially the Golden Globes, she had that room of movie and TV people on their feet mid-speech. And that's right in the sweet spot of when SAG voting is happening. So, and she's got the narrative. That ball started rolling, and I don't really think anything's going to stop it.
Now, that speech was phenomenal, but why do you consider the Globes and the critics such a great combination when they awarded Sylvester Stallone? He also got, he had the room and giving him a standing ovation, and he also had a narrative. And the Critics' Choice are an award that's voted on by about 200 journalists. The same is basically true of Golden Globes, except maybe 100 journalists. Why do we put so much stock in these groups when groups like SAG and BAFTA are the ones that actually contain members of the industry who also vote in the Oscars?
It's not so much the groups themselves. It's more like the audience that reacts to that win. And the audience reaction, can change the momentum. Particularly with, you take somebody like Glenn Close, and I poo-poo the comparison between Glenn Close and Sylvester Stallone. One is a living legend, decorated performer, and the other is Sylvester Stallone. Nobody is dying to see Sylvester Stallone do Hamlet, although that could be kind of fun.
I'd also say Glenn Close has bigger balls than he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think with the Glenn Close thing also is she is such it's a great performance. She's so respected in the industry. She's really an actor's actor. And, you almost like we're expecting that it might be somewhere at the Globes where a Lady Gaga might be in a better position, where it's a bit more like, Lady Gaga won Best Acting for American Horror Story years ago at the Globes. So I almost feel like the fact that Lady Gaga wasn't able to get on the front foot in those earlier awards has bolstered Glenn Close's chances. And it's not so much that those award groups, the Oscars or the Screen Actors Guild are just going to get in line behind them, but it sort of deprived other contenders a chance to get oxygen and momentum in the race from maybe groups that you thought might be more favorable to those contenders. That all being said, Olivia Colman obviously won the Globe, had a great speech. So she hasn't been deprived of all that. And look, I wouldn't count. I wouldn't say Close is definitely won it, but I didn't really consider too much picking the other contenders. I just think she is in front in this race.
And I always viewed that the person who would be strongest here before Glenn Close picked up the momentum from her winning the Globe and her speech. I always had Olivia Colman out fronted here because I always, I think of her as sort of like Glenn Close, an actor's actor, very revered. I don't know what the overlap is in terms of SAG, in terms of British membership, but I'm sure all the British members knew who Olivia Colman was before this, and probably very much enjoyed her performance in The Favourite. I do think, though, that I think it's just, that it was that 1-2 punch. It wasn't enough for Glenn Close just to win the Globe. Just having that knockout moment there, I don't think any other televised, with the exception of possibly BAFTA, is going to want to pass up a moment to have her on their stage.
Now, Charlie, you're not predicting Emily Blunt in lead actress, obviously, but you do have her for supporting actress, which would be quite the upset given that she is not nominated at the Oscars. We saw that a few years ago with Idris Elba, but it's generally not something that is wise to predict. So why are you going that way?
I don't know. It was sort of just a gut feeling, sort of like it's sort of like a recognition of the achievement you had for the year. She's double nominated. I think that it's tough to describe, but I think the missing of Regina King here sort of just leaves everything else sort of just on very shaky ground. There's no one dominant front runner. I mean, not even Amy Adams for Vice. I don't think. So I think that could play into her favor, possibly. But honestly, I think the only ones that would shock me would be Margot Robbie, possibly. The other four would not truly shock me if they won.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going on with Amy Adams. First of all, I don't know why everyone claims that this would not be a good performance for her to win her Oscar or SAG Award for finally. I thought this was great. But at the Australian Academy Awards, the international section of them, we had a race where it was Amy Adams versus the four people that we assume are in 6th to 9th place in the Oscars. And even there, she wasn't able to win. They actually gave it to Nicole Kidman for Boy Erased, which I kind of...
Which body was that?
The Australian version of the BAFTA, called ACTA. Yeah, which does have an overlap with the Academy. And I like them because they gave it to Sam Rockwell and Allison Janney last year. And they announced very early, back when we were all thinking that Willem Dafoe and Laurie Metcalf were going to win. So I do put some stock in them. And they could not award Amy Adams against for performances that did not even have enough passion to get nominated at the Oscars.
She did lose to, as you said, Nicole Kidman, right? Who's an Australian. So
she did. But Nicole Kidman, I think, has been nominated 6 or 7 times, and she had only won once before. So they don't. They love to nominate her, but they don't always just give it to her whenever she shows up.
I almost think like Amy Adams, who like is probably my favorite actress, Amy Adams. So like I'm a big fan of hers, but maybe she's almost the victim of her own strength, where she's had such strong, powerful performances over the past years, from Junebug to Arrival. That this, like, it's almost people are comparing her to those performances rather than the ones she's nominated against in the races. Because I do think it's a good performance by her, but part of me is like, I'm not sure if this is the one she should win for. Like, there is a part of me that even goes that, because I'm sort of going like, oh man, she had such great work with Arrival, such great work with Junebug, such great work with a lot of her other nominations. So maybe that's sort of partly the issue with her. I don't know. It would be nice to see her winning a SAG award and an Oscar and things. But I would love if Emily, and I'm predicting her because I do think she's the default tonight, because Regina King's out of the race. But I would love to see Emily Blunt win. I think in Mary Poppins and in A Quiet Place, she gives such brilliant performances, and I wouldn't mind seeing Emily Blunt win either. Like, I know she's out of the race for lead, but that's the kind of performance you don't usually see win, like, because it's more comedic and exaggerated stuff and things. So I'd just love to see Emily Blunt win an award tonight. And as Charlie sort of points out, this is her place to do it. And there is an opening for Emily Blunt to take this out, and particularly good for The Quiet Place, which got, I would say, criminally shut out of the Oscar nominations across the board. So it'd be really nice to see Emily Blunt take it out tonight. That'd be really cool.
Now, we generally assume that the two supporting actresses from The Favorite will cancel each other out because of vote splitting. Now, Matt, you actually have Emma Stone ahead of Rachel Weisz, which is not what most people have. So why do you think Emma Stone is more likely than Rachel Weisz if one were to win?
Yeah, like, I could probably switch, like, I probably in my head was going back and forward, and just at the end of the day had to make a judgment call. The reason I made the call of putting Emma Stone above Rachel Weisz is just on the, like, I feel like Emma Stone's done a lot of other good things in the past couple of years, from Maniac, like that she did on the miniseries that's currently out at the moment. So TV members, people who are seeing her on Netflix, having a presence there. She won a couple of years ago for La La Land for lead actor. I just feel like she's been more on the radar, and it is a bit more of a, like, I feel like she's a bit more central in the film maybe than Rachel Weisz. Like, they're both so strong in the film. I don't like to sort of make that call, but I do feel like it was, in a sense, like, she's the one rising up in the film. Like, you see her, progress from a low position to a high position, and that sort of maybe drives the narrative a bit more of the film.
Yeah, Emma Stone does have more screen time than Olivia Colman, and Rachel Weisz does not. So, Tony, if Amy Adams wins, as you're predicting, does she go on to win the Oscar, or does Regina King rally, even though she has been snubbed by all of the industry groups?
I think it'll make it more of a race. I always say that we underestimate Regina King at our own peril. But there is a couple. I mean, there are so many different factors here to consider. I mean, the fact that Emma Stone and Rachel Weisz are both leads in a supporting category, and Olivia Colman is a supporting in a lead category. But the thing about Rachel Weisz is that Rachel Weisz certainly has the I would say, like, the bigger character in terms of just, like, she has these, like, just biting, hideous, one-liner zingers, whereas and she has kind of like the contrasting journey that Emma Stone does. Emma Stone's is like the rise, and Rachel Weisz is in many ways the deterioration. So now to whether or not this could lead to Regina King winning, if Amy Adams wins here, I don't think Amy Adams automatically wins the Oscar. I also don't think Regina King automatically wins the Oscar. I think this could be like one of the tightest supporting actress races in recent years, because you could have legitimate conversations about how all of them can win. With Regina, the lack of a nomination here and the lack of a nomination at BAFTA certainly does not work in her favor. And yet she's still Regina King. And, with, acting being the largest branch, who knows? Who knows why she was able to get in at the Oscars and not here?
I assume it's visibility because the Oscars are using their ranked ballot where they count the number 1 votes first. It might not count the number 2 votes at all, whereas SAG is just what 5 performances did you see and did you like? And If Beale Street Could Talk was one of the last screeners that SAG voters, or the SAG nominating committee actually received, by which point voting had already opened. They had already received 60 other titles. So I think visibility was just the issue there. But what concerns me is that Vice was also in that last group of titles that the SAG nominating committee received, and Amy Adams and Christian Bale still got in. So it seems to me that everybody who saw those performances had them in their 5, whereas maybe Regina King, some people saw it and still rejected it.
It seems like Vice
also, I think Vice also probably benefited from being, the more unknown one because they kept the screen. They withheld so long for people to actually see it. So I think there was probably a bit more intrigue about it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, is the fact that they held it back, and so all you have is what's on paper. What's on paper is you have Adam McKay and Christian Bale and Amy Adams in a movie that's going to skewer Dick Cheney. So that certainly sets off the tingles of elite liberal Hollywood. I say, dismissing that right outright. So, and it's interesting how the critical response to Vice certainly took kind of a dive once people actually started seeing the film, but maybe that momentum among the actors kind of is what really put it over the top.
Now, jumping over to supporting actor, we're all predicting Mahershala Ali, and the SAG Awards, they're often seen as kind of the last stop, even though there are other awards still coming up, that if you win the SAG Award, you're in very good shape to win the Oscar. Now, but what about Mahershala Ali has already won the Critics' Choice and the Golden Globe Award, and when you win those 2 awards, you tend to win the SAG Award. So has this race just been over for some time now? Charlie?
I think, well, if he wins tonight, I do think it definitely is over. I'd say that I think, because I know there was a period where Mahershala Ali was kind of out front when the Green Book narrative was taking off before a lot of industry stuff started coming in. And I think there was just, I think probably by a lot of us, there was a desire to see more of a race rather than just, another coronation. But it seems like Mahershala Ali is really just picking it, just hitting at the right time. The controversy, he's actually, when he's been asked to respond to certain things about Green Book, specifically about the character that he portrays, he very much gives the, I'm the actor, I didn't write it, but he's also been very deferential to the aggrieved party, which is Dr. Shirley's family. And he's been a class act all the way. So I can't imagine him losing this.
And Tony?
I can't imagine him losing this. However, I don't think it's 100% lock. I think that Sam Elliott could come out of nowhere and win this. He's definitely the respected veteran in TV and film. I think back to like when Ruby Dee won this for American Gangster, and it's like, you were in the movie 10 minutes. Oh wait, but you're Ruby freaking Dee. And he's Sam Elliott, and there is, I think, fewer negatives on A Star Is Born just narratively than there are in Green Book. So I still think this is Mahershala's to lose, but I think if anybody's going to take it from him, I think it could be Sam Elliott on kind of like a veteran achievement award.
So even if Sam Elliott wins, do you think he'll just go the way of Ruby Dee and not win the Oscar?
I think so. Yeah.
And Matt?
I think Mahershala Ali is going to win this. Look, there's a lot of respected guys in this lineup from films like A Star Is Born and Black Klansman are nominated for Best Cast. So one of them, could win if there's just a lot of support behind those films. Richard E. Grant from Can You Forgive Me? Great performance, respected actor. I think it could go a different way. I don't necessarily think there's so much support for Ali, but he's just the front runner. He's giving a good performance in a well-respected film, and I feel like he'll probably carry that through. There's no big, I don't think there's any outrage over him winning. There's no like sort of this other person in the category gives the performance of a lifetime. They're being like robbed by not winning. So I think sort of especially with these film awards, like I do, if in doubt, just go with the person who's got the momentum and the wind at their back. And I think that's probably what's going to carry through here.
I'm seeing a few parallels with Alejandro Inarritu, of all people. He won the Oscar for Birdman, but he did not pick up the Golden Globe or the BAFTA on the way there. So the next year when he had The Revenant, both of those groups were able to award him. And now a similar thing might be happening with Mahershala Ali, where he just won for Moonlight, but he didn't win the Globe or the BAFTA, and now they have a chance to, make good on that IOU and also add to his momentum.
Yeah, and like help him get another Oscar, which is fun. Yeah,
exactly.
All right. Any final thoughts on the film categories? As we already know that Black Panther did indeed win the stunt category, as Gold Derby was predicting, and I was not.
Your previous panel talked a bit about this, but I could really see Crazy Rich Asians taking out Best Ensemble. Like, I think it's low in my list of films, but I feel like I have underrated its chances, and I really think that sort of feels like an ensemble-y film where there isn't any one person driving it as much, and I would not like. Your first panel said this, I think, quite well, is that any of the 5 films could win and it wouldn't be a shock. And I am starting to wonder whether just Crazy Rich Asians will win.
That would be kind of like didn't the Birdcage win this?
Yes.
Yeah. So, there's certainly, I think the Full Monty win this. I think that won that too. Yeah. There's certainly a precedent, of course, with Hidden Figures winning this. Now, there's a precedent for the non-Oscar frontrunner or something that's not even in the conversation in Best Picture coming in and taking this. So, a Crazy Rich Asians, it is also like Black Panther, A Star Is Born, Bohemian Rhapsody. Crazy Rich Asians was a big fat hit. So, we shall see.
I actually, I'll never forget when I saw Crazy Rich Asians. One of the first things that I thought to myself after the movie was over was, I think this could win SAG Ensemble. That was one of the first things I thought to myself, because that cast just goes, they work so well off of each other, and SAG just sometimes responds to those large ensembles, even if if they skew more comedic. They usually don't have a problem with rewarding that. Whether it's large ensembles or smaller groups but the actors are still feeding off each other really well. I think of films like Little Miss Sunshine and Sideways, in addition to bigger ones like The Full Monty and even Gosford Park. I would say that I think that would play very well for it.
And we're saying Black Panther is the one with the biggest ensemble nominated. So that could, which would actually because I'm just looking at the list now. Andy Serkis is down for Black Panther, so that'd be his second ensemble win, having won for The Return of the King.
Yeah. Do you think the largest ensemble factor is a factor in the TV comedy race, where we're all predicting Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but it could be Glow just because there are so many of them. It's Netflix. It just won stunts, all that kind of stuff. Tony?
I don't think so. I don't think Glow has necessarily it doesn't have the cachet is not the right word. It doesn't have the presence, I think, that Maisel has, or even something like Barry has. I just feel like Maisel is perfectly positioned with, I don't think a lot of us expected it to repeat at expected the repeats that we had at help me, Golden Globes. I didn't think Brosnahan was going to win twice. So the fact that she did, and this new season coming out, just basically a month and a half before all of this, I think it's still in the perfect position to win.
I think Glow could win, actually. Like, it's a big ensemble. It got nominated last year, somewhat surprisingly, at SAG. So it's sort of, I feel like a show that the voters here like. I feel like SAG voters like Glow. They've given it 2 nominations in a row for Best Ensemble. It's won the Stunt Ensemble Award. It's probably my spoiler for Mrs. Maisel, which I'm predicting. Because and sometimes the Screen Actors Guild just go their own way a bit with their ensemble award. Like, we've had shows like CSI win it in the past, which aren't shows that really get talked about much at any other awards series, even at that at the time when it won that. So I don't know. I could see Glow pulling off a win here, but I think Maisel's out in front.
I think Barry could pull off a win here too.
Yeah, that's a big ensemble too.
Second.
Okay, yeah. And we're also all predicting This Is Us on the drama side, although I feel like the odds might have the Americans or something in first.
I know I have This Is Us. I can't bring up my predictions because the prediction center is closed. I can't remember what I have like in my second position for several of these. But the Americans at this,
I can tell you, I have all your predictions pulled up.
oh my goodness! Please tell me, what do I have in second for drama cast?
Thanks, big brother.
Ozark.
I do have okay. I feel like I should have the Americans number 2, but I'm comfortable with having Ozark there too because of the way it overperformed with its nominations. But This Is Us still also just has, that big, ensemble type cast that they like. Very much like Downton Abbey and others that have won in this category. So I think that it's just a likely one. I don't see it happening on the individual level for Sterling K. Brown, but the ensemble, I definitely put it ahead. It just seems more in the usual wheelhouse for them.
Yeah, I'm sticking with This Is Us, mainly because I just don't feel like I have another real alternative. Ozark certainly did overperform, particularly with the Julia Garner nomination. I don't know that the fact that Jason Bateman and Laura Linney are in there means that they love the show, because they might just love Jason Bateman and Laura Linney. But the fact that Julia Garner's in there says something. But then again, we've also, they tend to throw in a few curveballs in these lead acting categories. So I just tend to go back with, this is a category that likes repeats, and I don't think the bloom is off the rose enough for This Is Us in terms of the larger membership of SAG-AFTRA for it to drop out just yet.
Yeah. Our odds do indeed have the Americans in first. The Americans has never been nominated for a SAG award in its previous 5 seasons, and it was also snubbed in both the individual acting categories this year. So it'll have something of a perfect record if it pulls this off.
Yeah, it's I think the Americans have some real heat behind it at the moment. I think, funnily enough, post the Emmys this year, it seems to have gained momentum.
It's like everyone finally had a chance to finally catch up with it.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, this won a writing Emmy. We got to check this show out now, and a lead actor Emmy. We got to check this show out now. So it's really gotten some momentum, sort of back half of last year, and I think that could really win. I'm predicting This Is Us just because it won last year. It's a big ensemble. Surprisingly, Ozark has, I think, just as big an ensemble nominated, though, as This Is Us. So that could, I've got it in my 5th spot. It should not be in my 5th spot, Ozark. I think that could easily take it out too. And then sort of your veterans look a bit like, Americans is a veteran, but your Handmaid's Tale and Better Call Saul look probably out of the race, but which is a bit of a shame, because I think Better Call Saul is one of the best dramas on TV, if not the best drama on TV, and it's a shame it's not in the mix for taking out this ensemble or this cast prize.
Yeah, Matt, this is actually the only category in which you are not predicting the Gold Derby frontrunner on the TV side. So do you think these awards are just going to be very boring? I guess, is that your predicting strategy this year?
Possibly. I think it's also partly I didn't know what limb to go out on. So I'm expecting to get surprised somewhere. I also like maybe a bit surprised in like the front. Like I think we're going to get to this in a minute, but I think Patricia Arquette, in some ways, after her award success of late, maybe should be the front runner in this category, in the category for limited actress. So I don't know. I've played it a bit safe with the TV predictions because I didn't know where the upset would come. I'm a coward.
Yeah, sure. Let's just go that way. Let's go all the way over to movie mini actress. And Tony, I want to ask you, because you actually have Patricia Arquette in fourth. We're all predicting Amy Adams, but you seem especially harsh on her chances. So why is that?
I'm not honestly, it's just laziness. I didn't update my predictions in that category because I just really felt like Amy Adams was winning it, and I didn't really care who was in second or third. But that being said, I should have. But I'm still not predicting her to win for the sheer reason that I don't know outside of the industry. Critics' Choice is, critics. Critics. And, foreign press is the foreign press. Have that many people actually seen Escape at Dannemora? Whereas, Amy Adams, Sharp Objects, was a big deal. It's granted it's a little bit in the past now. But, particularly those last few episodes as it was running up to it was, everybody was talking about, particularly the finale. So I feel like that still has some resonance. And, if people are not going to go with Amy Adams in supporting actress and film supporting actress, they'd be like, oh, here's a place I can reward Amy Adams, if they even think that way at all. But I just feel like they're just going to go with the person that has both the name recognition and the prestige, and that's Amy Adams.
And Charlie, you feel the same way?
Kind of. I think that it's weird that the one constant we've seen, that one of the constants we've seen at both the Globe and the Critics' Choice Awards has been Patricia Arquette winning. She beat Amy Adams, then tied with Amy Adams at Critics' Choice. So I think that I'm very wary of her. But at the same time, I just kind of think, this will probably go to Amy Adams since Sharp Objects had more, felt like it was more of a part of pop culture than Escape at Dannemora has proven to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I wouldn't. I've got her in second. She should probably be in third. Patricia Clarkson. Like, sort of. It's interesting getting this person who is probably your would be your front runner if there was a supporting category, right? Patricia Clarkson. And now she's here competing with Amy Adams. She gives a very compelling performance as well. I wouldn't count her necessarily out of this race. But before we were talking about Amy Adams and, is Vice a worthy performance for her to win for or whatever? I think her performance in Sharp Objects is one of her best performances of anything she's done on, pretty much film or TV, but she's done less TV. I think it's very... I think this is such a powerhouse performance from Amy and so gripping. It'd be great to see her win that. That being said, Patricia Arquette, I think I have heard people talking about Escape at Dannemora as well. I don't think this is a show that no one has seen. So
even
I think
in
this
Australia,
one's
people have seen it. That's what you're saying?
I think a few people have seen it down here. I think a few people, when I was over there, a few people talked to me about it when I was in the States too. So I don't know. It probably didn't quite reach the buzz of Sharp Objects, but I don't think it's an unseen entity. And I think this is a nail biter. Like, I could see Adams winning. I could see Arquette winning. I could see Clarkson pulling an upset.
I could see Clarkson pulling an upset because, she's that epitome of the respected actor. She's worked with everybody. It was so funny. I was at my parents' house and I was watching The Untouchables on TV, and I completely forgot that she was even in that movie from 1987. And, so, there's somebody who has a lot of goodwill built up. So I could totally see, and plus she gets, even though Amy Adams has a showy performance as well, Patricia Clarkson has that kind of like gothic Southern mother character, just down to a T. So I wouldn't be surprised if Clarkson snuck in there.
Yeah, we always have to watch out for the names, especially in this category. I remember a few years ago when Elizabeth Moss was favored for Top of the Lake, and she lost to Helen Mirren for the TV movie Phil Spector.
And even Helen Mirren from the stage said, "Really?"
And Clarkson won the Globe, right? Am I right with
that?
Yes. So like she won the Globe for Sharp Objects. Amy Adams didn't. So like she's the one who had a bit more of a sort of spotlight. I guess Amy Adams tied the Critics' Choice, so she had and now since it was a tie, I feel like that got a bit more play the next day and like being shared around social media and stuff like that. So
and we could always see, one thing we do always see on the TV side at SAG is oftentimes supporting performances winning lead. So it well, not lead per se, but they beat a lead from the same show. So that could definitely repeat itself. I think it could also happen in comedy actress too.
Yeah. I want to jump back to drama actor. Charlie, you said that you are not predicting, or you're predicting This Is Us still to repeat in drama series, but you don't feel that you can do the same in the other category that it won last year, which is drama actor. So why are you going with Jason Bateman and not just sticking with Sterling K. Brown?
Because of how well Ozark performed. And I just think, has Jason Bateman won a SAG award? Has he won either individual or as part of a cast?
I don't think so.
I don't think Arrested ever won.
I don't think so either. So, this would be, he's someone who the SAG Awards will usually go to for a nomination, where you could just see him sometimes pop up sometimes. I think that, and I think the overperforming of Ozark, and that's a project that he not only started, but he's also backed. He's put a lot of his own weight behind that. I think is going to be very well rewarded at this. I think individually, This Is Us isn't really striking anyone, or is really that striking. I think it's more for the group effort of the entire cast. So I think that's definitely going to play for Jason Bateman's favor.
Ozark seems to be another one like The Americans that since the Emmys has really exploded, perhaps has taken all the heat away from Westworld, which got 20 Emmy nominations and has not really shown up at these Guild nominations at all.
Well, this one also, this one did get, didn't it get the 3 nominations last year?
At SAG, it got Laura Linney and Jason Bateman, but no ensemble.
Oh, okay, no ensemble last year. But it shows that the program has been on their radar, and for them in the second season to not only nominate them again, but throw them, the ensemble nomination and the other actress in there. It's just I really think that they're looking for a place to reward this, and I think it's going to be for Bateman.
And oftentimes at SAG, we do see where the nomination is the hard part, because the nominations are decided by a group of 2,000 voters, and then the winners are voted on by up to 160,000.
Not to mention that you're also taking away the division between lead and supporting. So, you're being thrown into this competition with all these other people that you wouldn't normally be in the same context with.
Yeah, we saw This Is Us not get nominated and then go straight to a win. We've also seen people like William H. Macy and Uzo Aduba who might come in one year, be out the next, but when they are nominated, they tend to win.
Yeah.
So Matt, what do you think about drama actor?
I'm going with Sterling K. Brown just on the This Is Us sort of momentum because it won last year, because I'm predicting it to win ensemble this year. But I think a really compelling case has been made for Jason Bateman, and I could almost just see him winning. I think it's a shame Bob Odenkirk isn't in the mix here, because he's year after year given a great performance on Better Call Saul. I think he's the strongest of the 5 nominees, but just because he's my favorite does not mean I'm predicting him. So.
All right, I'll just pipe up that Sagan from our forum says that only 121,000 of the voters are actually eligible to vote. Or I guess of the members.
There you go.
All right, and Tony, you're sticking with Sterling K. Brown, correct?
I'm sticking with Sterling. I feel like he's still in that. He's still, whether the show has fallen off or not, with Emmy voters or Critics' Choice or something like that. I think it's still a popular show, and he is still a very popular person in the industry. He also is part of the ensemble for Black Klansman, so maybe for Black Panther. I just feel like he's still in that sweet spot where they want to keep giving you a hug. The SAGs loves to repeat in this category. They especially love twofers. They love to give 2, and then Cranston won 2, Hugh Laurie won 2, long after House was off the radar as far as like the Emmys go. He was still getting individual nominations, but the show wasn't getting any. So so I just feel like they're going to do 2 for Sterling, and then they'll be done.
All right, now over on the drama actress side, we're all going with Sandra Oh. I have Laura Linney, I think maybe in last, but all 3 of you have her in second. So I assume that's just because you think Ozark is doing very well this year. But is Julia Garner not more of a passion pick?
That may be, actually. I never thought of it that way. That may be, actually. You may have a point there.
It depends on who the nominators are. I mean, she could be the passion pick among the nominators, but then when you open it up to the entire voting body, people are like, Laura Linney, love her. But that being said, Sandra Oh is still winning this.
Yeah, I think Sandra's out in front. I think that's a compelling case for Garner being a passion pick, but I do think like a lot of Ozark voters, if they want Ozark to win, will be voting Laura Linney, who is also has appeal to get votes outside of Ozark fans with people who have respected her. She's a name. Laura Linney is a name. She's very respected in the industry. She's given a lot of great performances in film. So I think she's got a bit more crossover appeal, Laura Linney, and Ozark has a lot of support too.
All right, so Matt, you and I are going with Michael Douglas in TV comedy actor. He's the front runner, boring. But Tony, you are going with Henry Winkler. Charlie, you're going with Bill Hader. So Tony, let's start with you. Why is this supporting performance going to take it?
They love, on the comedy side especially, they love supporting performances. And they oftentimes will beat a lead. How many times did Sean Hayes win? How many times did Megan Mullally, the host of the evening, win? How many times did David Hyde Pierce win? Didn't Jason Alexander also win this too? I think he might have won the first one. Sure. They love supporting performances, and and the fact that he's Henry Winkler, he's like the legend. I mean, it's hard to say, even when you have Arkin and Douglas and Hader and Shalhoub, these are all like heavyweights. But Winkler has this veteran status in the television industry that I think, his reputation on top of the Emmy win, on top of the fact that he really does deserve it. I mean, this is not just a name check because there's an actual substantive performance behind it. I could just totally see if they're going to go with a supporting performer. I think Winkler beats Arkin, and I just feel like there's more eyes on Barry than there are on the Kaminsky Method.
All right, and Charlie, why Bill Hader instead of Henry Winkler and the others?
Same argument, but he's the lead.
There you go.
There you go.
Just before we wrap up,
I'd probably switch to Bill Hader now if I could, to be honest.
Oh wow!
I don't know. That argument from Giles was so good. But no,
I'm that good.
Yeah, I just think Barry got an ensemble nomination, as did Kaminsky Method, but I just feel like there probably is more respect in the industry for Barry than Kaminsky Method. But Douglas is a huge name, which is why I went with him.
Or Atlanta. All right. So let's hear some final thoughts, maybe about how you think the show is going to go, or whatever you want. this will be it. So Tony, you can go first.
Well, it's funny. On one hand, the SAGs are both like the most routine award show, simply because they don't tend to waste a lot of time with superfluous stuff. It's just like, hey, we're getting to the awards, and it's one award after the other. It's a nice tight 2-hour show. The fact that the last couple of years that they're bringing in hosts, and I think Megan Mullally is kind of an inspired choice to host. So I'm really interested to see what she does in about 3.5 minutes. So it'll be really interesting to see. It's amazing how these award shows are almost guaranteed not to be a mess the way that the Oscars are almost sure to be.
All right, and Matt?
As Riley pointed out, I've been pretty boring with my TV predictions, so I hope I don't win the TV predictions contest. I hope there are some really nice surprises along the way there. I hope in the film side that I win in that one, and that there might be some developments there that change the narrative of some of the Oscar races. Particularly, I'm interested to see how the Best Picture race this year might be affected by tonight's win.
All right, Matt, Tony, Charlie, thank you very much for joining me. We will be back in 2 hours. And Charlie, bring us home with your final words.
Final words.